Hey, you're listening to the Flash Traffic Podcast with me, Dr. Anthony Tingle, and retired U.S. Special Forces Colonel Eric Lyon. Each week, we discuss developments in modern conflict, the war in Ukraine, and military technology. On this episode, we sit down with friend of the podcast, Andrew Perpetua. Andrew is one of the most notable open source analysts following the Ukraine war. Today, we discuss robots, drones, and the future of Ukraine's chances on the battlefield. Okay, let's go.
Conflict, politics, military-industrial complex, technology, war. The Flash Traffic Podcast.
We were talking about, well, Andrew, tell the story again with this Monty Python motorcycle attack.
I heard that, but you're rolling for the audience.
Yeah,
Check.
Yeah, so there's a video came out, I think yesterday, the day before, something like that, where they're doing this motorcycle attack. They drop a grenade. One guy's leg. Oh, so it's two guys on the motorcycle, right? One guy driving, one guy in the back. First grenade, one guy in the back, his leg pops off like a Lego piece, flies off. They keep driving. They swerve a little bit, get back on the path, keep going. Another grenade falls. Boom. Driver's arm falls off. They fall off the motorcycle, hard to control with one arm. So you end up with one guy with one leg and one guy with one arm, just laying there next to a broken motorcycle.
it's
And
like
that's a Russian assault.
it's like the Monty Python. What is that? Meaning of life? Or oh no, Quest for the Holy Grail. What's the name of that Monty?
Yes,
The Holy Grail.
yes, the Holy
Where
Grail.
they're like, oh, it's only a flesh wound. He gets his arm cut off, and then his leg, and then he gets
And
on a
then-
motorcycle and assaults the Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
It's
did they
ridiculous.
drop on them? Just 40 millimeter bomblets?
Just grenade. I don't know. It's the grenades from like a Mavic.
There's
So
not
it's
big.
probably some like a customized bomb with probably high velocity shrapnel.
There's a video today of guys on motorcycles going across the fields.
Minefield.
Yeah, and I can't, maybe Andrew, maybe you can discern the difference between a grenade dropped and an anti-personnel mine, because I can't tell the difference, because they say it's a minefield, but then the grenades are going after the guys that are running, and they can't be that unlucky that all these guys hit an anti-personnel mine, So some of them are grenades, but I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard to tell the difference. It's really if you don't know where the drone is, it's hard to tell. Because the drones could be dropping mines too, so they do that. So you would have to analyze the video to see if you can see like a little pixel flying in the sky. Sometimes you can see that.
Do you ever go to that fidelity? Do you ever say, okay, I'm going to slow this down to 1/10 speed?
For every video.
Every single
day.
time?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Do you ever make parody videos where dudes are flying off of motorcycles and like in slow motion, and the dude on the golf cart is like flying like this?
If we had time, we would probably make a lot of stuff like that, but we just don't have time. we have so much footage that's funny. Like I was compiling different like funny videos, like really horrific videos, and like I was compiling them all, but there's like a point where there used to be like a fine line between like a normal video and a really horrible video, but that line has been blurred so much that like I don't even know it's a horrible video anymore, because it used to be like really bad gore was horrible, but now that's just kind of normal. So I kind of scrapped that idea. So
We've been desensitized to the
Yes,
violence.
exactly. I was going to say
But
that. I was going to
is it
say
me desensitized, or is it or the people who make the videos got desensitized? They're like, here's some
All of
guts.
it. Yeah, all of it. Yeah, right.
I was going to say, are we bad people, or are we just find this so funny because it is funny? I think it's probably both.
I took
But,
a brief yesterday from some students in a national security fellowship program, and they made the comment
Ooh.
about that with drone warfare, we're going to have more health problems because all of us looking at these videos, we're going to get PTSD from looking at the videos.
Hmm.
I pushed back from that. I said, I don't think so. I think you're going to get PTSD from stuff that actually happens to you. I think you can get desensitized to this, where, oh, there's another guy getting blown in half. That's the 10,000th video I've seen of that happening. But then I'm also like, watching this stuff is just like a video game. So then every human who ever played Call of Duty has PTSD then.
Yeah, or more, more realistic. And we talked about the 90s when I had hair. Apparently, that's when I started losing my hair,
I
according to
think you
Eric.
started, yeah, when you were like 20,
According to Eric.
21, I think, yeah.
So in the 90s, remember, I guess it was in the 80s, we had something called Faces of Death. Do you remember of that?
It was scandalous.
Yes. Andrew, you know nothing about this because it was on VHS tape and you had to get it in the back room of Blockbuster. But they had is Faces of Death 1 through 20. And it was just video capture of people dying. It's like alligator jumps up in the boat and cuts a guy in half, or nasty auto wrecks or motorcycle crashes, Faces of Death. And so that kind of gore, that like real gore, has been around
That's old
as long
school.
as we've had video. Yeah.
And
Maybe.
also, the old school that would be on the black web now or the dark web, snuff films,
Mhm.
where videos, right? Videos of
I don't
people
know if we
getting
want to go
killed
there.
or assassinated, but it was shocking or whatever. And now you can just go on whatever station on Twitter or whatever and watch 1,000 Russians a day get blown into pieces.
Yeah. That was Nicolas Cage. 8mm was the name of that movie where he
Oh,
was
don't
like,
bring him up. He's the worst actor on the planet.
what? You're just biased because you look like him.
Thank you. He speaks very well. If you listen to Nicolas Cage, made it fake name, by the way, stage name, talk, he speaks just tremendously well. His enunciation is amazing. I think he was like a literature major, English major, whatever. He's incompetent as an actor, but his voice and the way he speaks is pretty groovy.
You seem like you're a little fanboy. You're like you know his history, you know where he went to school.
I don't know
You're a
where I don't know
Nicholas
I don't know
you're a
where I
Nicolas
don't know
Cage.
where he went to school.
Let's revector this.
Hey,
All
War
right,
Weave
Andrew.
Wednesday, bro.
Oh man, we're always weaving. We're gonna have to change the name of the podcast to Nicolas Cage Warweave. Andrew, what do you see right now on the battlefield? Like in a big picture thing, we know that the attacks are kind of either diminishing or um are focused on smaller areas. What are you seeing just in general?
Well, what we're seeing is Russia is desperately trying to advance. They don't seem to care about whether the advances are sustainable in the long run. They don't really seem to be too preoccupied with making logistics routes or supplying like supply lines to the front or any sort of logical thing like that. They're just going forward as fast as they can, as far as they can, putting infantry in the location. They don't even seem to care if they can hold that location in the long term. So, but they're going forward, put infantry, go forward, put infantry. That's all they're doing. And they're doing it everywhere simultaneously. And it appears to be an attempt to create an illusion of this creeping advance, like this unstoppable creeping advance. But when you look at like what's actually happening, it seems almost impossible that they can hold any of this territory in the long run. Because what's going to happen is they're driving these motorcycles out and ATVs and sometimes Ladas. They drive them out like several kilometers deep and jump into like a basement. And how are they going to get more guys there? How are they going to get food and water and all of these things? And they can't like bring armor because the armor can't move up without getting destroyed. They can't move trucks because the trucks can't go anywhere. So like the only thing they can do is just put more motorcycles, and like motorcycles can only carry so much, and most of the motorcycles are getting destroyed before they even get to the zero line. They get destroyed in Russian territory. So I don't think any of these gains are sustainable in the long run. I don't think they intend on holding this ground in the long run. What they want is to advance as much as possible. And right now, especially, they're trying to advance towards Dnipropetrovsk. They want to get into Dnipropetrovsk, which is the next oblast behind Donetsk. I don't think they even care what part of Dnipropetrovsk. I don't think they want to capture very much of it. I think they just want to get in it to say that they did, and then like probably have like a referendum or something and claim that they own the oblast now or something. So, so yeah, that's what we kind of see.
What do you think it says about Ukrainian capability that they're not either counterattacking immediately or they're not trying to surround these small groups and isolate them and make them surrender or destroy them? Ukraine doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong from your perspective. Do you think that Ukraine is showing weakness because they have the inability to do that basic, operational movements, or it's because they are just so resolved to the defense now? We're doing all defense all the time, even if that means no counterattacks.
Well, they are counterattacking, and they have retaken towns recently. They captured a town just like a day or two ago. So they are counterattacking, but the counterattacks are coming in specific areas. So what they do is they let Russia attack, they overextend. Ukraine then cuts off all their supply lines and lets them rot. And then once they're fully rotted, they counterattack. So that's what they're doing. So right now they're counterattacking in a different location. So Russia, they pushed everything forward. They got stuck. All their logistics died. They pivoted. They're attacking in a totally different place now. And that original place is where Ukraine is counterattacking. And this new location that they're attacking in is the location that Ukraine knew they would go to next. And they've laid a trap. And what they did is they withdrew. There's a big highway, right? So they withdrew all the way across the highway. And there was many kilometers of basically
Now,
gray area.
Are you talking about in Kursk? Is that what
No,
you're talking
this
about?
is
In
this is
Pokrovsk?
this is in Pokrovsk, to the east. It's like
Okay.
closer to New York.
Gotcha.
Russia made this big
Yeah.
advance recently, and this advance is a trap. It's straight up a trap, and I think even the Russians know it's a trap. So there's this big highway, and Ukraine withdrew across the highway, and they brought in a ton of artillery. So they just have all of their artillery on the other side of this highway, and they're just saying, "Come on with your motorcycles." The Russians are driving up with their little motorcycles and getting just obliterated by artillery. Every once in a while, they get into a basement, and you have like 5 guys in the basement or something. And this is just kind of what's going on here. So the towns in this area are like Novo Olenivka. There's Nova Poltavka, and the towns in this general area. So this is to the west, or to the east of Pokrovsk, closer to New York.
Okay. So they're, instead of counterattacking, they're just trying to degrade their forces by just sucking them in and then killing them, or laying siege to them and then killing them, kind of.
Yeah. And then what you see from the Russians is that they start complaining. All right. The engineers, the Russian engineers are saying that they can't build minefields because they can't carry forward enough mines because they have no trucks. So what they're having to do is every infantry rotation, the infantrymen have to carry at least 1 mine, if not 2, with them. So every single infantryman, in addition to all of their food and ammo and butter and whatever, because they're not getting any resupplies either, by the way. So they have to bring like all the food they're ever going to have ever again, probably, and then on top of it, a few landmines, just to start building a minefield to protect their flanks. And obviously, you're never going to get enough mines that way because they're going to need like 1,000 mines to make a minefield. It's going to be so many infantry rotations to bring up that many.
So each one of those TM62 landmines weighs 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Each one. So 40 pounds. Isn't that like basically the standard loadout for somebody going into assault, and it's going to have to live there? About 40 pounds. Would you say, Eric? Yeah. You're gonna carry about 40 pounds if you want your food and your.
You wish it was 40 pounds. You're humping 60, 70 pounds in your ruck to go forward. Now you don't assault with that because you can't.
Sure.
But surviving. I mean, we always talked in the infantry about reducing the weight. How much weight does the infantryman got to carry? And the good idea, Fury keeps gold plating you. You got to carry more and more stuff. No, you're carrying 60 to 70 pounds at least with you in a ruck if you're going out for more than a couple days. And I only did long range patrolling and things like that. But if you got to fight and survive in the wild, like with what's on your back, you're carrying 60, 70, 80 plus pounds. A gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. How
plus
how
two
fast?
landmines.
Yeah, add 2 landmines. Like, really, bro? Like, you'll be carrying your hands like luggage on a bad family vacation and hope no one shoots you because, you can't use your rifle.
So it's like 40 pounds of landmines and then 10 pounds of water. You're at 50 pounds already. Maybe you're lucky and you have absolutely dry camping food, maybe. And then you're going to put that on a motorcycle? And then you're going to also have a passenger on the back that has the same exact thing on your motorcycle?
Add a rifle, add body armor, add kit, add radios, add batteries, add ammunition. How about 100-round belt of ammo for the pig? Add that to your weight.
So you basically, you just can't do this. This sounds like one of those videos of the Indonesian farmers that carry all the bales of hay on the motorcycle balanced. I don't see this as I'd rather go to donkeys. I'd rather go to donkeys than do this.
Well, that's what they have.
Consider being a mortarman because they carried a mortar, or a machine gunner carrying a machine gun. It's not fun. It's not fun. And that's why all the Russians are complaining. They're like, this is ridiculous. We can't do this. Like, we need trucks. But you can't have trucks. Like, trucks aren't an option because they're getting hit by drones.
They get whacked, yeah. So the infantrymen, the grunt, you become the pack animals. You're the mule. You're the donkey.
Yeah.
Carry everything on your shoulders. Good luck.
And you have to carry it a very long way. A very, very long way. Like at least 10 kilometers, if not further. So
the old cliche, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics, blah, blah, blah. So we should really be talking about in the future, how are we going to get this done? How are we going to get stuff to the front, no matter where it is? If everything behind the flot is interdicted for 50 kilometers, and you have guys that are on the flot because that's by definition the forward line of your troops, how are we going to do this? All by drone? Is it going to be vampire drone with water just circling, going back and forth, nonstop?
That's what Ukraine does. They do that. It's one of the primary missions of a vampire drone is giving supplies. So, in addition to laying mines and dropping bombs, so yeah, that and you also have ground-based robots that can carry stuff too, but they get destroyed all the time. But whatever.
Yeah, I got an acquaintance I know who's developing overland, drone vehicles. Obviously driverless. It's just a small 6-wheeled ATV-looking thing, but it can go at night. It's low visibility. It's remote controlled. It can carry 1,000 pounds. Much smaller signature. You might have to go to that. I also think of the drone corridors, where have your drone corridor going forward with all the mesh netting so you don't get whacked moving forward. I don't think that's a complete answer.
Yeah, what have you seen? Have you seen videos of the tunnel, the drone net tunnel in Pokrovsk? Like, how is it faring, I guess? Because it's been up for at least a month.
It helps. It doesn't help that much, but it helps. It's better than nothing. You can break through the nets. You can fly around the nets and get into the tunnel. So it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
Sure. Have you seen? I always thought so when I first saw them do this thing, and what we're talking about is a large. Uh, on each side of the road, there are telephone poles or just poles, and then they put a netting over the entire road. So you're basically driving down a net tunnel for about 2 miles, maybe longer now, but initially it was two. So I thought, hey, why don't they use those Dragon drones and just fly over with the white phosphorus stuff and just
you
burn them?
you could
You could.
you could. Yeah, I mean, you can just fly under the net. Um, Really, I think what's more useful than just having the net itself is I've never seen Ukrainians do this, but I've seen Russians do this, where they will put fish line above the net, like every like I don't know 100 meters or so, because you can't see that fish line, and then your
Mhm.
drone just hits it and gets destroyed. So
Yeah.
like the net, like the drone will try to fly along the net to look for like a hole to get in. But if there's the fish lines, it just destroys the drones.
No.
I've seen the Russians do that, and I've seen it destroy a lot of drones. And it's not
Yeah, that makes
expensive; it's just
sense.
like fish line.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Interesting.
Seems like a good idea. Hey, speaking of Russian drones, we have to talk about Rubicon. So
Hmm.
I think the last time we spoke was before the Russians assaulted through Kursk. And
Yeah,
my understanding that this Russian drone unit named Rubicon was partially or majorly responsible for the Russian and the North Korean successes in the Kursk counteroffensive. What's your take on that?
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think it's correct to call them a unit. It's more like a branch of the Russian military. I think that's kind of more of what it's becoming. It's like in like they have the Air Force and the Army and the Navy, and now they have this. Right. Uh, so it's a very large group of pilots, and they are very well supplied. At first, they were using primarily FPV drones, like just standard FPV drones, the night vision and the day vision. They didn't use that many Vandal drones, which are the fiber optic drones. But now they've branched out to like every type of drone. They're using Kuku, which is their heavy bomber. They're using Molnias. They're using Mavic just to drop bombs. They're using every type of drone now. So that was an interesting development. But this drone unit is pretty dangerous. They are basically kind of like the Russian version of the Magyar's birds, where they are destroying a very large amount of equipment. I can't remember the exact stats. They published their stats a few days ago, but it's a lot. They're taking out artillery pieces. They've taken out like Caesars, Bogdanas, um, Paladins, and all that sort of stuff. So like every type of artillery piece, basically, they've
And
taken.
yesterday,
And
yesterday they took out the HIMARS. Is that right?
yes, um, I'm not 100% sure, but yes, probably. It's that video is so weird because we think we geolocated the vehicle that was on fire, and it's like 3 kilometers from the front line, and it
Ooh,
just
that's
seems like
close.
that would be a bizarre place to have a HIMARS, and it makes me
Mhm.
think it's not a HIMARS. But
So
it's
either
it's
the video
definitely
is
an
faked or
it's it's definitely an Oshkosh. Like it's an Oshkosh for sure.
so it might
But
be an MRAP. It might be an MRAP. Is that
it
possible?
what's it called, an MATV or whatever, their transport logistics truck.
Oh,
It could
gotcha.
be a logistics truck. It's definitely an Oshkosh. Whether it's a logistics trucks or a HIMARS, I am not really sure. I'm not convinced either way, to be honest. But anyway, if it is where we think it is, it's like 3 kilometers from the front line, And not only 3 kilometers from the front line, but it's 3 kilometers from the front line where Russia's actively attacking. Like that area that I was just saying, where Russia advanced a lot in the past few
Mhm.
days. That's where it is, like 3 kilometers from that. So it like we don't even actually know where the front line is there because they're advancing so quickly. So so yeah,
So
and that was Rubicon too. So yeah. So
so the Russians have would you say they found their stride now in drone warfare?
they're
Have they
behind. They're behind the Ukrainians, I think. The Russians are now developing what Ukraine developed like a year and a half ago, but Ukraine has moved on. Like
Mhm.
Ukraine, like all of this stuff with like focusing on FPV drones and stuff. Like Ukraine's moved on. Like that's old. Like that's old technology at this point. Ukraine has much better technology than FPV drones at this point.
In what
So
regard? Like what are Ukraine what are they doing now that's new and exciting?
uh, well, they have much more advanced heavy bombers. They're developing fixed wing drones, and all of this new technology now that's been rolling out over the past few months. And Russia hasn't even started developing any of that stuff. They do have fixed wing drones like Molnia, but it's nowhere near as advanced. Like a Molnia is just like a suicide drone. It's not super special. It is a pretty good drone though. But yeah, they're developing much more advanced fixed wing drones that can
Are,
do much more sophisticated missions.
is Russia now starting to integrate drone warfare on the offense, or are they still kind of separate? How are they doing that, or how do you think they're doing it?
Well, right now, Rubicon is basically around Touretsk. Like that's kind of like their thing. They've released a few videos where they're just entirely within Touretsk. So basically, what they're trying to do is they're using short range drones to like literally attack Touretsk, and that's kind of boring. Like no, like who cares? But they're using their long range drones to take over all of the highways behind Touretsk, and they're trying to basically cut off Konstantinivka. So that's kind of their goal here. So um, if you want to consider that attacking, I kind of think consider it attacking, but so they're trying to cut off that rear logistics to make holding the front line impossible, so that they can continue advancing. Um, so that's kind of their thing.
So it's
That's
kind
how
of
they're using them.
like a multi-echelon approach to drones.
Yeah,
Would you say that?
and that's more or less how Ukraine has been using them too. Except where Rubicon is now attacking, 20 to maybe 25 kilometers behind the front, Ukraine's bombers are now able to hit like 30, 40 plus behind. So
We
their bombers are able to hit the staging grounds. They're
right.
able to go out and hit where they're staging and wipe out vehicles before they're even able to attack. I think this is a big reason Russia isn't using vehicles to attack, because they bring up like all of these like tanks and BTRs and stuff and put them all into like warehouses to get ready for a future attack. Ukraine finds the warehouse and burns it down with heavy bombers. And then
I got a
there's
question. Last
can't attack
question
anymore.
here.
Yeah.
I'd read Tony sent me an article from the Small Wars Journal, a pretty good, reputable uh, publication. But a gentleman in there, what an active duty soldier, wrote a interesting article that, I want Andrew's opinion on this because he's probably as knowledgeable on it, if not more so than anybody. That artillery isn't dead. This guy claimed. I think he's a closet artillery guy, although he didn't state that on his resume. Um, we're taking the wrong lessons from drones. We have drone euphoria. We think they're more capable than they really are. Artillery really is the main fire support that we should be focused on and stay focused on, and that drones should just augment that or complement that. The argument was, well, during bad weather, the drones aren't going to be as accurate. They're susceptible to EW jamming. Um, so he had a whole list of things where, yeah, I got it, where maybe a drone could be negatively impacted. And then I wish I had some kind of dialogue with this guy so I could just send him video after video of Ukrainian drones destroying Russian artillery. Um, so a drone can take out an artillery piece and does every single day of the week, but artillery will never take out a drone. It's that asymmetric kind of comparison. So, what's your opinion, Andrew? Are we in drone euphoria? Is artillery really the main fire support system and can never be replaced? Or what? What do you think?
Well, artillery just does something totally different than what drones do. So I kind of think comparing them is kind of weird. Artillery can lay a lot of fire very, very quickly, especially if you're looking at mortars. Mortars can shoot like so much firepower in a very short period of time, but artillery is good at hitting like tons of just firing all your ammo really quickly at an attack. Like you can fire 600 shells in not very long if you have enough artillery pieces, right? So that's kind of like their main advantage, and they can do it quickly. Whereas doing that much damage with drones would be much slower and would take a lot more resources. So I think that's kind of the difference between drones and artillery. And I don't think drones can really replace artillery. But I also think people are getting way too focused on FPV drones. Like FPV drones are like not really where the money is. Like the heavy bombers are really the key. So and these heavy bombers, they way outrange artillery. like even like some of these heavy bombers, like they outrange HIMARS. Like, and I would not be surprised if in the next 1, 2, 3 years they would outrange like attack guns. Okay, like these heavy bombers have range and they can fly through EW. It's not an issue to them for the most part. And they can deal so much damage.
What
Like
are they dropping? Like, what type of munition are they dropping?
It depends on the heavy bomber. Some of these heavy bombers can carry 100 kilograms. Some of them
Oh, that's a
carry
lot.
some carry 40. So yeah, it depends on the heavy bomber. So yeah, like
Okay.
and also like the heavier the payload, the shorter your ranges. So
Right.
like if you want to fly out to like 20 kilometers, you might be able to carry like 40, 50 kilograms. But if you want to go to like 50 or 70 or something, you might only be able to carry like 10 or 15 or something. But that's still a lot of explosives. like you could do a lot of damage. Like imagine
Right.
I mean, we have video of Ukraine doing it already, like flying out and just dropping a bomb on an S-300 and blowing it up. Like they've done it multiple times with these heavy bombers.
For $100 to take out a $100 million system.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's not $100, but yeah, it's like maybe $20,000
Okay.
to blow it up.
That sounds like a lot of money to me.
I can see
my broke ass. That sounds like a lot of money, 20K.
But it's a lot cheaper than like a Gimler, which is like $100,000. Or,
Right.
I can see
which,
that. I can see the argument that, hey, look, artillery and mortars do something completely different, so they're not going to be replaced by drones. But you know what? The tank, the Abrams tank, does something completely different that nothing else on the battlefield can do.
Right.
But
It acts as a drone magnet. Correct.
Right. That's its function now. But protected firepower on the battlefield is something nothing else does. Not like the tank. But that doesn't mean you get it. Like that doesn't mean you are allowed to have it on the battlefield. And you're no longer allowed to have artillery on the battlefield because drones now can reach out and destroy that artillery. So I get it. I want to have 155 millimeter artillery shells raining down hell on my enemy. But guess what? I also want a flying battleship to shoot 16-inch guns from outer space. So I can't have that either because it's just not feasible anymore in modern conflict. You can't have artillery.
You mean
everybody
rods from
wants it.
God?
Yes, sure.
We could have that, Tony. You know that. You're
We could have that.
you're a
Maybe we
space
do have that.
officer. You know that.
I don't want to
Okay.
violate. I don't want to violate my SF-86 by saying whether or
Okay.
not we have it already in outer space. But
Mhm.
yeah, some things you're not going to be allowed to have anymore. You know, it's a different world moving forward, and all this stuff that you thought you were going to bring to the fight, you can't have that. You know, we talked
I'm a
about having
really,
that. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of mortars. I think mortars are criminally underrated.
We're
So
gonna have
is
a
Eric.
we're gonna
Eric
have a
is a big
problem here,
fan.
Andrew. Andrew, we got a problem here, bro.
You guys go at it. Take the gloves off.
Inaccurate piece of
Oh,
garbage.
have you seen them corrected by drones?
I have not.
I have seen mortar shells, not by accident.
Right.
I have seen them land in the alley between a house and its garage to
That's
pinpoint a vehicle and destroy it in one shot. And
Why
it
not
wasn't
just
an
drop
accident.
that? Then why not just drop that mortar on top of them from a drone?
Because the mortar, you go boop, 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 boop. You just keep shooting. That's great.
I was a mortar platoon leader. I want to see them removed from the inventory. So I got to give full disclosure. Oh man, Andrew's a fan of the mortar. Good lord, who would have
I
thought
love
that?
mortars. I love
Good
mortars. They're so
God.
good. They're so good.
They're so short range, dude. They're like a couple clicks.
It's fine.
You're on the fly.
It's
You can
fine.
fly a drone out 20 clicks, dropping 81 millimeter mortar round right on top of them in that alley. You're 4 or 5 times the range.
Yeah, I don't care about the range, honestly, but it's the being able to shoot so many shells in such
You
a
can do
short
it
period of
fast.
time.
Yeah, you can put it down fast. I'm with you.
And when you have a good crew with good drones, they're so accurate. They're
Because
so
they're
accurate.
spotting. They're spotting
Yeah.
for you.
And they're spotting from the perspective of the drone, of the mortar shell. So like
Right.
the drone is seeing like what the mortar shell sees, and it's much easier to adjust.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
tell this story.
I'm not going
I've
to
told
die. I'm
this
not going
story.
to die on this hill. I'm going to let Andrew have his love for that. It's okay. It's okay.
I tell this story, and I think I'm in the middle. I'm like middle of the road for mortars, leaning on not having mortars. But I tell this story that the mortar team in the Zaporizhia Oblast that I was with, first of all, they would never go outside the wire without 2 Starlink terminals for all their comms. The second of all, they said, "Yeah, we shoot moving targets all the time.
Yep.
Like they will shoot at a
Yep.
truck moving down the road." I thought, with a mortar, that's crazy.
Bullshit.
I've
They said they
Bullshit.
do it.
seen
They said
I
they
have
do it
seen
all the
a
time.
mortar. I have seen a mortar one
There you
hit a moving BMP and just
See?
detonate the BMP.
See,
Go to
Eric?
Vegas. Go to Vegas and play craps, bro. Because you got that kind of luck, you're going to make $1 million on a 3-day weekend at the fucking Bellagio, bro.
I think that would be awesome.
I've seen them hit moving pickup trucks too. Like not like there's this near Klashivka. Near Klashivka there was the road that Ukraine used to get across the canal. Russia had a mortar that had zeroed in that road, and they would just hit pickup trucks, like moving pickup trucks, just one after another with those mortars.
Yeah, but that's more of like a kill box thing. That's a pre registered location, like crossing a bridge or something like that. So I don't know,
but it's
Andrew.
a
I don't know
mortar
about
though.
that example. Yeah, that's different. That's cheating. Hey, so so you like the mass of mortars? What about when we get to multiple drones controlled by single pilots? So when we get to, not, I don't want to say swarms. I just want to say one pilot controlling 4 or 5 drones at one time. Then do you think that the utility of the mortar would be less than that of the drone at that point?
I don't know. I don't know how the interfaces and whatnot would work. To be honest, the closest thing to a mortar that you're gonna get is the heavy bombers. Like having multiple heavy bombers all bombing simultaneously. It's basically having multiple mortars hit all at the same time. So and that's incredibly effective. Like we have videos of like 30 Russians getting killed in like 1 or 2 seconds, and
Mm.
in Kursk there was this one attack of it was like 12 North Koreans or whatever, and they were all like moving along a tree line, and they moved like there was this vampire drone just kind of like hovering there, and they all walked under it, and it dropped like 3 bombs, and then they just all vaporized. So it's that sort of thing. Like the heavy bombers are no joke. They're probably the closest thing to the that level of firepower that you get from like a mortar or an artillery piece. But even still, when you have like say you have two bombers that each drop like 4 bombs, right? Now you have to fly them all the way back and reload and fly them all the way back to the front. So it might take you 20 minutes to get your next volley out.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting. So where is this going? We're in the near term. Where do you think this is going? Where do you see it in the next 2 months? If the war continues, which I think it probably will.
Oh, I have no doubt it will. I think Russia. Okay, so I think there's going to be a point where Russia realizes that they can't force the war to end quickly. Because right now they're like all in on ending the war as quickly as possible. I think they're going to realize that they can't, and they're going to have to change their tactics. Because the tactics they're using right now, I don't think are sustainable. It's ridiculous. Like moving 4 kilometers forward and hiding in a basement is not a sustainable strategy. You have to like build supply lines and be able to have food and ammo and stuff. Like at some point you have to like be an adult about how you're waging the war. So otherwise, like if they're going to keep doing this, they're just going to collapse. This is all of the ground that they're taking is like indefensible, and Ukraine is just going to crush them because they're going to overextend to the point where they can't defend anything, and
Watch
that's
out!
stupid.
Watch out, Andrew. Tony's gonna have a shit fit tantrum over his favorite babied little, my little pretty mommy dearest, dead Russian fallacy argument. Watch out. You just hit a nerve. He's about to wet his diaper.
I believe that like I don't think Russia can win. I don't think Russia can win this war, but I don't think Ukraine can take any territory. I don't believe that once Russia goes to ground, if they ever do, or maybe they just keep doing this forever,
Or dig in.
or they dig in. I don't see Ukraine being able to carry on an operational offense in any.
Why not?
Because these drones just favor the
But
defense so much.
Go, Andrew.
Yes,
Go.
but for Ukraine to take ground, they don't have to attack to take the ground back. Because what they can do, they're developing drones that are vastly longer range than anything Russia has.
Mm-hmm.
Like by orders like 5 times further. So if you're able to launch a sufficient number of drones out to that depth, like 50 to 100 kilometer depth, to cut off all of that area,
mm-hmm.
to cut off all of those supply routes,
mm-hmm.
and then you use your like medium range drones out to the depth of like 30 kilometers and cut off all those roads, and your short range drones out to like 20 kilometers and cut off all those roads, you starve them out. Like each layer of this little onion is going to starve out a certain percent of their ability to fight. And eventually they will be able to take the ground back without having to actually attack.
Attritional warfare.
I believe the Air War College would love you to speak on what you just said about how drone air power can take land because
Let's make specifically, this got nothing to do with planes or pilots. This is ground
it's
operated drones. The
drone air
air,
power. Hey, it's
the,
still air power.
the Air Force
technically.
Academy would shit a bird if you gave a presentation
Well,
on this.
Ukraine has already successfully done this.
I like it. I like it.
Where have they done that? And can they do it at scale? Can they scale this up
They did it
enough
in
to take?
Pokrovsk.
They counter attacked with just drones or just robots? Did they use the land robots too?
There are some, but they stopped a full division, 2 regiments, and several brigades, all in one little clump, attacking full strength. Every time they lost a guy, they got a guy. Like, they were full strength. And they stopped them with drones. They stopped them by cutting off their supply lines. You force them to overextend. You cut off their supplies, and then you beat them back. And they successfully did it. And they can do it again. I think that success that they had in like Shevchenko, etc., and was it Udachny? So that success that they had there, it was limited by the amount of resources Ukraine had. Ukraine had like 1 brigade. If Ukraine had like 5 brigades, they probably could have pushed Russia back like a really long ways. Because Russia had like, they were on the ropes. Like, they barely could keep it together at that point. But Ukraine wasn't committed in a counterattack. Like, they were only intending on stopping them. They weren't intending on pushing them back. But if they wanted to actually push them back, they could have. And if you took even more resources and committed, like if you had like 5 brigades there, or like 6, and all of those extra drone teams, and you committed all of that to this, I think they could have pushed Russia back like probably 23 kilometers.
So you're optimistic that Ukraine may attempt some kind of operational counter-offensive sometime soon, if the war continues, of course.
But this sort of attack, you don't need like to breach minefields. You don't need to get in vehicle columns and charge forward. We're not. It's not that sort of counterattack. Do it as like a little bit more subtle, a little bit more nuanced sort of attack.
Right.
And more patient.
We talked about this before. We saw minor examples of it, but not like at scale. The Ukrainians basically doing drone close quarters battles, CQB, and urban warfare. Breach a hole in a building, then fly a larger drone in there that just drops the roof on that thing. Use drones to enter and clear buildings and like do urban warfare without a human having to go there and to take that risk and to get injured. And another interesting thing, I saw a video. The dogs, the little robot dogs, where like the joints are backwards. Like, you're like, how is it walking? That's not how a real dog does it.
Science.
But they use it for reconnaissance. It's a little walking dog that goes over rough terrain. It's got cameras on it and all that. Now they put assault rifles on it. And I saw an interesting video of the Chinese military doing close quarters battle with these armed robot dogs, not just doing reconnaissance, but I'm just going to shoot you. My robot dog comes in. The robot dog can get shot too, but I'm going to shoot you with it. I don't need a human there to do this. You can do all automated or remote controlled room clearing and urban warfare and clear out small villages. Just bomb the fuck out of everything and FPV drone everything.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen video of Ukraine capturing a trench using just robots, and that was pretty cool.
Gee, Tony, Almost sounds like something I brought up 6 months ago.
they
But it wasn't his idea, so he didn't want to endorse it.
What?
yeah. So
I don't
basically,
recall that at
Whatever, bro.
all.
Yeah, whatever, bro. Of course you don't.
I don't
basically,
recall any of this.
the Russians, they had a trench that was on like a crossroad, and their trench was kind of like a U shape in like one of the quadrants, right? So what Ukraine did is they pushed one robot like up the road, and it was like sloped, so it pushed it up the road, so just its gun was sticking out, and it used that to suppress the trench. And then another drone that was like, like 200 meters to the left, and it moved up and like moved, perpendicular to the trench and cleared it. And
Interesting.
once it was cleared, they moved infantry into the trench.
I was going to say, if you got enough of this automated remote controlled systems, you're a fool to send humans first. Don't do it. Clear it with reconnaissance and fire and all that stuff before you ever get there. If you got to conserve humans.
Yeah. And those drones, Russians were trying to stop the drones with FPV drones, and those drones ate a few drones. They ate a few FPV drones.
Sure.
And just kept going.
Yeah.
Well,
makes
so
sense.
you're optimistic. You're optimistic on Ukraine's chances of taking back a lot of territory from the Russians.
Yeah. I think it would take a disciplined, patient campaign.
Well, I hope
it's
you're
not going
right.
to happen overnight.
I hope you're right, Andrew.
For full disclosure, Tony's a closet Putin nut hugger. So just understand what
Andrew already
you're
knows
dealing
I'm
with
not. Andrew already knows. You can't fool him.
Gotta know what you're dealing with, Andrew. Well, I said in the closet, dude. He tries to mask it. Maskarovka.
He knows I am not. Okay, Andrew, thank you. This has been great. Informative as always. I think this is your second time on the podcast, so now you're officially a friend of the podcast. Like it or not.
What's your website? You got a website where you post your research?
Well, I have my map, which is it's ukrdailyupdate.com.
Hey, everybody, call your grandparents, talk to your wife, talk to your kids, talk to every human you know. Send them to this website. Spam them. You fish them. I don't care what you do. You will go to his website. You will
fish your relatives.
You will send your grandmother to his website, and she will get involved in ubiquitous drone warfare.
How would you do a phishing? How would you do a phishing attack on your own relatives? Hey,
look at
Mom.
Grandma. This is a new lamb stew recipe. Damn, bro. Russians are getting blown up.
How could you act like you are yourself, but not actually be yourself in a phishing attack?
Bro, throw away email, bro.
Oh, my God.
Throw away email. I'm sorry this isn't a Battle of Antietam, bro. Yeah, we can figure it out. It out.
Okay, there we are. It's not a podcast and not a complete podcast unless Eric says something derogatory about the Civil War. And those that study it. And those that study the Civil War.
Oh, the West Point fanboy club. Yeah, I got it.
There we go. I have to edit it out again. As I do every episode.
West Point.
Yeah, I grew up across the river from West Point.
Oh, really?
It was right there.
That's a beautiful part of New York. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Right across the river? What's that town? What town? Just tell me.
Cold Spring.
Cold Spring. Oh.
You look across the river, there's some houses spotting that valley that are off the freaking hook, dude.
There's gorgeous. Some billionaires live there, yeah, for sure. And like Beacon, I think. The billionaires live in like Beacon.
Good Lord. I mean, it's like it's beautiful. The Hudson River Valley
and Garrison. And Garrison.
Oh, Garrison, yes. I remember that place. Yeah. Okay, Andrew, thanks again. It's been awesome.
Dude, this is great. This is always good.
Right,
okay.
Thank you.
Hey, good chat. Stay on the line after we pause here. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Flash Traffic Podcast.